Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, the rain is not going to keep me from working on a forest. It's been cloudy and gloomy, very humid but chilly because of the dampness for the last 2 or 3 days. And finally last night, the clouds started to cry, and it's been raining for probably 12 hours off and on, and everything has got a really nice coat of water. Rainwater, of course, being the best for our bonsai trees. So all the repottings this spring, all of the forest that we've been creating, putting things back out with that final bonsai shuffle. What a beautiful day of rain. Now, not a lot of people like rain, on the weekends especially, but boy, is it nice for the bonsai enthusiast, right? So today, I'm itching to do more. I can't just stop. And I have these slabs behind me that I got last year while visiting my brother in upstate New York. Let's go take a quick peek at the highlights from that collection of these slabs from last year. So I'm in the back property of my brother's place, and just past the chairs up there is a little bit of an awning made of some branches, hard to see, but right up this trail here, there's the fence. We're in upstate New York, and all the natural fences made of all the rocks from this area. Today I'll be looking for some slabs to put some forests on. So we're getting a little collection here. Now to unpack, just to pack. Now I have a graveyard of sorts of dead trees, bonsai trees that haven't made it, and I have my slabs over there to the left of my bench. But I pulled out a couple slabs today because I've had these two images of trees, well, at least one image, but I'm gonna make two forests today because it's rainy, it's wet, we're gonna get some muck going, so it's good to have the rain and muck and keep all the roots nice and wet. But I have this big rock here that has this natural impression in here, so it's like a nature-made, all-natural bonsai pot. Now there's no lip in the back, so we'll put some muck back here. Maybe I don't need any in here, and we're gonna put a forest right here. So here's my really nice diamond cut 1-inch blade, and I got these two nice cuts out of the rock here. I was able to make the two low spots have holes in them, because when I lay it here naturally, there was two spots where the water just pooled, and for many of the tree varieties in bonsai, we don't want pooling. So the other slabs are a couple. So here's another slab with a nice natural indent here, and I thought, wow, what a nice shelf for trees. Now I have these two underneath here because I want this slab, which also has a little bit of an indent, I want this slab right here. And the reason why I want to make this is when I was hiking with Toby last year, we were in Canada and we went to a hiking spot, and we've been to several hiking spots over the years, but in Canada, when we were up kind of north and west of Toronto, we saw some of these overhanging just rock sections or outcrops with trees up on top, like growing, looked like they grew right on the rocks. And we walked right down in here, and there were trees down here, there were trees up here, and I thought, oh, I've got to try that. And here's a picture of Kimura's tree. Now Kimura tree, who Ryan Neal studied with, has this iconic image of two slabs kind of like forced into each other and kind of up at an angle. And it's one of my favorite forest images, just for its artistic ability and nature kind of put into one. So I'm not going to do something so drastic as that. I'm literally just going to set this rock on this rock. I'm not going to connect it in any way because it's heavy enough, and this is heavy enough. The wind or nothing's going to blow this or knock this off. So we're going to put a couple of 2, 3, 4, 5 trees up here. And we're going to put 4 or 5 trees here, and we're going to make a Zelkova forest here with my Zelkovas. Now they've leafed out a fair amount, so it's a risky time for me, but the roots are just waking up. We're just going to slip them from their current bed of forest pile of Zelkovas over here. We're just going to slip them on here and put some soil on it and call it done. Back over here, I think I'm going to make a combination of a couple of nice larch trees, like 1 or 2, maybe 3, and the rest Zelkovas. So we can play with the different colors of the leaves in the fall time. And of course I love the larch so much. So larch Zelkova and Zelkova. Here are the larch back here, ready to go. And the Zelkovas are right over here. I've got my muck ingredients, sphagnum moss, and some the powdery and fines from the Akadama soil I've been sifting this year. It's time to play. So I've got a bucket here, and I'm going to put some sphagnum moss in here and some powdery stuff from the old Akadama. We're going to get mixing. When we're making the muck recipe that I make with the sphagnum moss and the Akadama, you know, I don't want this powdery. I want longer strands of this, so this can form into kind of like a wall, right? So we're not going to make it super, super tiny. Now I don't know how much muck I'm going to need, so we'll go ahead and make a fair amount, and we can recycle the rest underneath in my deck area. Okay, so there's that. Here's the Akadama fines. We got some powdery, some small rocks still in there. They're really super small stuff. There's also some pumice in here, just a little bit of pumice. There we go. Here we go. Here we go. Let's see if that even gets this mucky. Kind of like cement, there's a good consistency for muck and a bad consistency for muck. And that just comes with experience and practice. And if you have it too mushy, it runs all over the place. If you have it too dry, it's not going to take shape very well either. But when we have a nice mix of water, the sphagnum moss, and the akadama, we're in good shape. So I can make a bit of a mud pie there, and it kind of holds its shape a little bit. We can kind of shape it, and if we have to, we can always add a little bit more water. First up, we're going to do the larch Zelkova combination. And I've got my holes for the drainage, so I've got to put a couple of screens in there. So I'll do that real quick. I will get a base layer of soil like I always do. And the trick with these forests, which I recently shared in my most recent video, making my forest, my larch forest, is to get the soil wet. In your trees, you're going to be able to stand them up. We won't even have to wire these trees up. So I have a little bit of soil in the middle. Now I'm going to grab some of my muck and get some shape going. I'm going to put my muck on the back side of the bonsai pot, rock. But we're going to make a little shelf back here, a little wall. Because that's going to be the pot back here. And the sphagnum moss in conjunction with the akadama. Sphagnum moss has a little bit longer strands. I kept it longer so we can make sure that we have stuff holding together and not just going to fall apart. If you're interested in taking a peek at another slab planting I did, I have my birch and maple forest on a slab. You can check out that video up in the corner, or I'll put it down in the description for you. Now I don't think I need as much of a lip up here. I got it coming right down here, right there, and there's my pot. So we're going to put about maybe 9-11 trees in here. We'll figure that out. We're just going to go pick out some trees that we like, and then we're going to put them in there. Now I think I'm going to put the larch, I don't know, I'm going to have to look at that. I know the root system on the larches are pretty bare still. So we're just going to pull up some of the larch. We're going to grab a couple of big ones here. Let's go with this one right here. All right. It's got some higher up roots on there. Good. I'm going to go ahead and put this, it's got a nice slanted root system here. We can put this right here. Put a nice big larch tree right on the edge. Let's do that as one of our primary trees here. All right. Have to add a little bit more soil to get that to stay. And let's go one more big one. You can do the same thing there. This one looks pretty good. Nice roots on that one. So when we're working on these forest plantings, we want to make sure we pull back and look at the forest often, just to kind of see the image that we're creating. Can we see the trees? Do we have, different spacing, different thickness of trees, hopefully? Now right there we have just 4, boom, boom, boom. It looks pretty symmetrical, so we'll have to add a 5th tree, but that's where the Zelkovas will also come in. But I want to have 5 of these larch, so let's get another small one going and find a place for that small one. So now I have 2 close back here, 2 relatively close here. When you come over to this side of the pot, we have a nice display of trees in different directions. And from the front, I can see all trunks, but we got 2 real close ones back here. We got this one back here that's kind of close to this one, and then our big primary tree here. Let's pull back and take a peek at that. Not too bad. It almost looks like I said, there's two pairs, like they're almost too close together. We can maybe angle this one out a little bit. And we just play with our trees. We've got our wet soil, so it can go different directions. And so that's not too bad. I've got my short ones in the back though, and on the big tall ones in the front. I think right off the bat, you know, we would get this one shorter right there. And so now we have a couple different sizes, right? And we'll cut this one down back too. So now we have 5 different size trees. That one up front is going to be a little bit tall. Not too bad with the large trees there. Okay, this one's still a little bit dominant. We'll take that one back a little bit, and then we have our tree. We have our forest taking shape with some stuff in the back, and these are all brand new and young, and they're going to shoot up. Now let's get out some Zelkovas and see what we got to work with there. So I think this could be my main tree. We got a tree right next to it too, so it's kind of a double one right there. Let's put that right over here. Here's another tree that has some good growth on there. It's got a lot of nice feeder roots. We've got some of the white roots that we know that there's some growth there. I think maybe that one can be. Put that over here as well. Let me pull back and take a look at that with y'all. I do like that. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. Now I've got some longer straggler ones. We can put one of those off to the side here. And we have to have a little one back here somewhere. Let's pull back and take another look with y'all. See what's going on with our forest here. So we have our 2 forests combined. We have our larch to the right, we have our Zelkova to the left. And they will marry with a path down the middle, right? Not too bad. There's also the thought though, should I put a Zelkova in the middle of the larch forest, or should I put a larch in the middle of the Zelkova? I kind of like this idea maybe of taking this larch out of here. I do have one really big root here that I just want to get rid of. Part of the tap root. And if this is a combined forest, who's to say that these won't grow together? Let's pull back and take a look at that now. Yeah, we've got one Zelkova to the right. This larch back here has some growth that's kind of growing in and just going to clutter things up for right now. So we'll just cut some of those off. Let's take a look. I think that Zelkova in the back should be moved over just slightly. So we're playing. I've got a 5 forest Zelkova right there on the left-hand side. I've got 5 larches with a 6 because of the Zelkova in there. 5 and 6 make 11 altogether. We have a forest of 11, and we have some fun path in the middle. We can get a couple of rocks in here and call it a day. With the trees in place where they are, we can't even see the muck. The muck's in the back, just holding them into their shape. I do like the hill up here, mounting up to this rock over here. And again, these are landscapes. You can do whatever you want to do, whatever you think looks good. I can get some small, this small soil into the wall in the back. We could add some sphagnum moss to get some more green grass growing in here. I have this fun rock with all these jagged edges here, but it doesn't match this rock. You know, and do we have a really big rock in the middle maybe? It can be part of a jagged path. The trees will grow up around it. Forest number 1 I think is done. We've got our Zelkova over here, and we've got our larch over here with 1 stray Zelkova. Maybe the larch are trying to creep up on the Zelkovas. Maybe the Zelkovas are taking over, but we got a little rock in here. We got this big monster rock in here, and this little bit of a kind of a path-like situation right here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of final little snips. I did cut some of this. This one's a little bit high. Cut that here. I'll cut that there and there for now, and cut that down here. So we have a little semblance of a forest that's like this. This would have to grow taller, so maybe we go ahead and cut this way down to here, and just let these Zelkovas grow. We got a nice branch growing out that way. Yeah. Get this one out of our face a little bit more. So here we have these trees. So we have a little bit tallish tree right here. Back trees over here. And these are going to want to keep growing. There we go. So I don't think I'll put sphagnum moss on today. I want to get to the other forest, but we're going to go ahead and set this over where it can get some good moisture today. I will keep it out of the wind though if it gets really windy, because I don't want this to blow over. So there is our larch, a forest with Zelkova. There's the back. We got a little bit of muck still exposed, but that's holding that forest in back there. This is about a 40-pound rock, so not too bad for me to carry. I don't need my son Toby. And there we have forest number 1. So here we have the slabs for forest number 2. Now it's a pretty flat slab. I can just tilt it a little bit to the front or a little bit to the back so the water drains out really well. There's a nice drainage back here. This is at an angle. It's going to drain real well, so no holes needed. We're going to go ahead and apply some of our muck in the back here to kind of hold the soil in back here. I obviously made plenty of muck. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a little muck under here, underneath the crack of the tree here, crack of the rocks rather, just to get a little bit of moisture retention, a little bit, so it doesn't completely drain. And then the front, I'm not going to worry about it. And that'll be a place for the trees to get some roots as well. So we have our base layer of soil. And I'm going to push those that small soil into the muck. And now I have to put some muck on the back part. So this is a pretty big slant. So I need some muck to hold some soil up here so the soil just doesn't all fall down to the ground. And then if I want to, I can put maybe just a little bit of muck up front, and that'll be a good place for the the small bonsai soil to kind of cling to up front. We don't need a lot of the muck up here to hold anything in place per se. And we can manipulate that as we need to. So now we have our two structures. I'm wondering if I might do the same thing down here. Just a little bit of muck. That'll be hidden by, I think, most of the rocks in the end. That'll give it a little bit more structure there towards the front of this. And I can always take it off if I don't want it. Now to dig into some Zelkovas and see what we got. All right. So I've got some brand new roots growing. I'm not going to cut those off. And this has kind of a funky Y split, but we can put that somewhere else. I like how it goes out to the edge here though. This is what I like about it. There we go. You can kind of put that in just like that. Right against that rock. I don't know if it's going to stay there though, unless we had some muck. It did stay there for now. So I'm just getting rid of some of the higher roots that I know I don't want. And this is kind of a big taproot right here. So this is the part of that. I want to be able to still show some cave. I want the tree to have some roots space to grow in. They're just going to grow back to the end of the cave. And again, we can put some sphagnum moss on here. We can lay some rocks down. Just going to cut that part of the tree off. We're going to let that grow now. We've got a bud down here. All right, we'll keep looking at our trees. These two could be separated, but I like that they're together. And again, I'm using wet soil so this can stand up without me having to wire anything in. I like how that tree leans over the path, but I would like it closer to the edge. So I want to see if I can manipulate this closer to the edge. Chucking some of these roots down. Here we go. Now that's a little closer to that edge. Now it crosses this tree right here, but so maybe I twist it more this way. There we go. And that might be a place for a little rock to hold that in place for a little while. Let's try that. To hold that up for a little while. Another tree with a whole bunch of really high roots. We can just cut those right off. Got some nice white roots tips on here though. I don't want to get rid of those. Maybe those two trees need to be right there on that trail, yeah. Another good root system that has roots right on the edge. I might need a heavier rock to put that one down. So I think I've come close to the desired effect. I have two trees off to the right where that little bump in the rock happens. I have a tree right in front of the rock that'll just grow up tall and get thick and kind of grow into the rock, I would assume. And then we have the back tangled mess of the forest where they're not too close together, not too far apart. You got a couple of doubles in the back that might be hard to see. Darken up that exposure a little bit. Yeah, fun stuff. Now the challenge with a rock planting is this is probably going to dry out faster than my other pots. It's certainly shallow, but again, a shallow pot doesn't release as much moisture as a deep pot, but we're going to have to watch these roots. Hopefully these roots on this tree are going to grow way inside. These are going to grow down and inside underneath our cave. And I want the cave in there. I want that part of the design, because if there were humans down here walking on this trail right here, these would be big trees someday. And I want that to see if we can save some of that scale. Just clean off some of these extra rocks here. Now the back is pretty mucky, but it's holding its shape right now. We got the muck all the way around to the front a little bit here. And I could add some muck around there just to support it for now, so the rocks don't fall off. But there we have our Zelkova mega forest, and we're just going to let this thing shoot out and see what it does over the course of this year. I love the texture of the rocks over here, stepping up down. I can imagine some people hiking up this if they can, and hiking through the trail here. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. Might have to put some sphagnum moss on here to kind of hold everything together. And again, if I wanted to put a little bit of muck on here, I could probably support this with some muck right now, just so it doesn't want to all fall off. I think I'll do that for this early part of this planting, because that muck will kind of dry up a little bit and harden off. And then eventually this muck could turn a little shade of green. We could get a little bit of a kind of a moss feel to it with the sphagnum moss, getting some moisture. So I'm going to just give this a little structure here on the outside of this lip of this rock for now. And a lot of these trees in nature, when we're on our hiking trail, these things are just right on the cliff, and it doesn't even look like there's any of this kind of earth, if you will. And so hopefully as this grows up and gets a little bit more mature, maybe we can peel away some of this sphagnum moss, or if it turns green, it'll look like just a little bit of grass right on this hill with this these trees. So there's just a little bit of muck there. When you put muck on here, you can also tuck it underneath the rocks. So as I put this muck here on this ledge here, I can come back in here and I can kind of tuck in the moss underneath the rocks. And so the rocks don't fall off of the pot this side, I'll do the same thing down here. We'll just get a little bit of the muck for now, and then, like I say, I'll kind of tuck that in a little bit so we can still see our ledge, and that could turn a little green over the course of the summer. And we can always trim some of it back once the structure has taken hold. Some of these Zelkovas have taken root. So the rocks up top will not stay. I could keep a couple of them, maybe one or something. Right now it looks like a big old donut with a couple of like sprinkles on top, but again, we'll manipulate some of the muck and some of the design of this tree as it grows and it takes hold. We want it to take hold. That's the thing. It'll get strong, it'll start clinging, it'll cling to the rocks, it'll cling to the soil, it'll cling to the muck. And there we have forest number 2, everybody. So let's see how easy this is to maneuver. This one is about the same size as the other one, but it's 2 rocks not connected to each other. So there we go. Our little forest multi-layer. We're going to go put this in its new spot and call that a day for forest number 2. Well, that was a blast and a half. I love forestry. I mean, I love the forest look. And more my bonsai, as much as I want to get better at my art of bonsai with one tree, I just love the forest, and I love these slabs. And these are from New York, so a trip with my son to see my brother and hiking trips. Bonsai for me is all about that journey I talk about, and the journey is meeting new people who like bonsai. The journey is seeing new trees in the forest and then grabbing something from that scene like a slab and then planting trees to remind me of the past, remind me of some great times with my son, and being creative. I've never thought of myself as a very creative person, but my creativity seems to come out with the bonsai when I think about those trips we've taken, my son and I and my family and I, and over the years. And yeah, we'll see what happens with these 2 forests on the slab. I just tripled my number of slabs. I went from 1 until 3, so that's awesome. Thank you so much for watching and joining me on my journey of bonsai. I'm glad you enjoy watching, and you know, question, comment, concern, you can always put it down there in the chat section. All right, hey, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you next time.